Hey everybody, Stu Smith and Jeff Nichols here with another Tactical Fitness Report. And we are going to just kind of kick some things around, things that we have discussed in the past with recovery and why it's important, not only what to do and what to get and what kind of gear to use, but why we do it. And I think that's what we're going to focus on today, just focusing on the why. And I'm going to be the guy asking Jeff stupid questions. Like, Jeff, why do we foam roll?
Yeah. So we're going to try and take like a one step deeper, but not super deep into the physiology. Because our goal is to get everyone a little bit deeper past the X's and O's to go, there is some real, there's some real value in even just general physiology knowledge.
Absolutely. And what we really want to do is just to kind of give you the reasons why you need to do this, because I'm going to, we tell you to do X, Y, and Z, but, it's also good to have a little bit of knowledge on why you're doing it and why it's important. And then you tend not to blow it off as much, when you realize how important sleep is and
or how not doing it is certainly going to slow your progress down substantially.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I tell you what, let's take the recovery pie chart that we created a while back ago. Where I just split it in half and said, sleep is 50% of recovery, probably even 65% if you really want to. It's probably the most important,
especially if you're training hard.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. Sleep is number one. So why is it that sleep is number one most important? What all happens in our body when we are sleeping?
Yep. So the wave tops past, okay, it's important is, and I'll try to keep this pretty simple. There's many things, but things that come to mind are sleep is primarily the time, specifically REM, but we're just going to say sleep. Let's say if you're asleep, getting rested sleep, regardless of its length, that time, whether it's 3 hours, 6 hours, 8 hours, in that time frame is when the majority of most of your hormonal sort of imbalances are supposed to become balanced, right? Your growth hormone, your testosterone, your insulin, all of your hormone regulation during that window is that's the time it really happens. Now, you're awake and you're feeding yourself and you're not abusing. Your body has healing processes and chains of reactions going on. But it's only when we actually fall into sleep that the body goes, all right, guys, he's down. We got to hurry up and repair as much as we can because we're not sure how much time. So again, we're looking at not just brain repair and hormonal issues, right? Hormone repair, so dopamine, norepinephrine, serotonin, testosterone, insulin-like growth factor. The list goes on. Even your vitamins, just so many hormones. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So that's why sleep is so important. You got to figure why does a car have to go to the pit? Because it just can't run indefinitely. It's got to get new wheels. It's got to get new fuel. But it's not like different wheels. We're getting the same good wheels and the same good fuel, and it's got to take that break. So that's why sleep is why. Okay, so on the other side, we don't sleep. We have a hard time fighting illness. Right? We have a hard time getting rid of soreness, repairing muscle, cognition goes away. We know that if we don't sleep. So just kind of think of it that's like those are all physical markers of deficiency. Like fatigue is a manifestation potentially of some sort of underlying hormonal deficiency, whether it's acute or chronic.
Right.
Hopefully that makes sense.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So that's in a nutshell why I say sleep.
Yes. And so just to let people know the kind of like the difference between acute and chronic, chronic is you got to think about all the long-term things that can happen to you when you are overstressed, not sleeping, things like, diabetes, heart disease, cancer, those are like some of the chronic
lots of aches
issues. Yeah. Unbelievable. Yeah. Nonstop pain. All
not
those
being
are,
able to sleep.
yeah. So, high cholesterol, high triglycerides, all these things, bring you to the chronic side of doing it. And it takes many years to kind of get to that level, or just unbelievable amount of stress. You can be in a chronic state of stress and a lack of recovery, in a very short time, depending on, your circumstances, obviously. But that's the type of stuff when we talk about a chronic. But when we talk about acute, then we start to talk about how things are affecting you today and your ability to do all the things that Jeff just said, your ability to think, to move without pain.
Loss of appetite. That's for me, like the two things to me that are most apparent as far as a physical manifestation when I'm burning the candle at both ends too much. I begin to lose my appetite, and then I begin getting sleep impairment. And for me, I wake earlier than I should. I tend to fall asleep okay. For me, I wake up at 3 o'clock instead of 6:30.
Right.
And that's, and I think, here's the thing. I'd like all of you just to think for a minute. And the last time you were like, man, I was sick. Think about the weeks leading up to that illness. Now, sometimes for us that are parents, it was like, yeah, both my kids got sick from school. They came home and they gave it to the family. But a lot of times you go, oh, for me, it came off of travel. It came off of lacking of sleep. It came off of difference in barometric pressure, big time, between California and here, given the seasons. Obviously, being all around all those different people in the airport, it's unavoidable. And then stress, and then no kidding, I got sick.
Yeah.
No surprise. So that's the thing with sleep is it's super powerful, and that's kind of the physio. And we can go deeper on it, but that's as deep as I think we really need to go. And then it's like, okay, then sleep being the issue, what's the next piece, right? Like the physiology of, okay, why do Stu and I keep saying you should focus on your dietetics, or focus on stretching, or focus on something, right? They all compound.
Right. So, let's take a next piece of that pie chart, which you just said, the nutrition side of it. What is happening to your body? Let's see, you just had a really hard workout, right? And you are breaking down muscle, and, you need to recover, right? And when we say you need to eat proteins, get your carbohydrates right, get your fats in there, water, electrolytes, what is happening to our body when we put the proteins in there, and the amino acids in proteins, exactly what's going on immediately.
So again, kind of reverse engineer what's happened. If you look at what happens to the physical body, the muscles, the bones, the hormones, all of those things, because again, we can take the blood of someone, draw it before they work out, have them do a vigorous workout, retest the blood, and see differences in things. Okay, so we say, hey, you should take a protein supplement post-training, typically that has an amino acid, a full spectrum amino acid associated to that, which you're going to get in whey protein, right? You're not going to get it in plant-based, but you're going to get it in whey or animal-based. And this is not a vegan verse, and that's not, I'm just giving you the spectrum amino acids. So when muscle contracts at a high rate of velocity, under load, or whatever it may be, there is a byproduct, right? There is a waste byproduct of that. Okay, so you're breaking muscle down. Muscle, the building blocks of muscle, even human muscle, is proteins. Essentially, we're minimizing it a ton. Like, it's protein, the building blocks, right? And I always say the brick and mortar. The bricks are protein. The mortar is like the amino acid spectrum, the essentials, like the 4 essentials and then the rest. So it's like, okay, we know muscle breaks down. So that's why we're saying you need protein and amino acid post-training, because because what we're trying to do is introduce acute supplementation that's not making your body work harder to break it down. So it's like, yeah, we could eat a steak, which is we're saying for the future, but there's a lot of work that your digestive tract has to actually put in to break it down. Well, when you drink whey, water, and creatine that's already basically essentially pre-digested in some weird sort of way, your body isn't expending energy to use it as a building block as much. So it's like readily available. It's like you're at a building site, you show up, someone's there handing you the bricks and already mixed the mortar. That's what it is. Instead of like, okay, I got to go to the truck, get the bricks and haul them to the house. Someone's already done it for you. That's what whey protein is. Okay.
Right.
And so obviously we're sweating. So reverse engineering, we're sweating. That's why we say water. Okay. A part of that contraction process, right? You're depleting yourself of calcium. Yes. Calcium is what is in charge of contraction, right? Yeah. Calcium is. So we want calcium back in. We want those electrolytes back in, because those right there are what we're using to volumize, add water, osmosis, pull water into the cell. And we deplete that through our contraction or body heat. So we reintroduce the sodiums, the potassium, because it changes not the viscosity, I forget like the positive negative ions between fluid and the balance of the atoms and the cells. Right. So that's why we use electrolytes, because it balances out the contractions. It helps promote oxygen transportation through the mitochondria, okay, and hemoglobin. So that's why we say electrolytes.
Yes.
And then we go, so protein, water, carbohydrate. We could say definitely want carbohydrates, right? A sugar base, potentially like a natural sugar base. A lot of times you're going to get that in lactose. That is the sugar. That's the sweetener. So you think sucrose, fructose, lactose. Anything in toast it's a sugar-based base that is going to get converted into glycogen, and those lactose and glucose are there's not a lot of energy that your body has to create to make this, to convert it into that Krebs cycle or the ATP or whatever it's being converted through, glycogenesis or whatever it is. So what we're trying to do is introduce these things your body doesn't have to work harder to repair. So that's why we say drink water. Here's your whey. Here's your creatine. Here's your amino acids. Here's your fat. Because you're depleting it to a certain degree in the training, duration, intensity, age, all those sort of things. That's why we say take these things after you train. After you train, sleep. We're just reverse engineering what we know is happening to the body.
Right. And obviously there are some instances where you cannot take all these supplements because you are in a military selection program, and now you have to rely on the foods that they give you in training, right? Yep. Or
that's why we don't skip meals.
That's right. Exactly. You got to eat everything you can, right? And sometimes you need to put extra salt on it, especially if you're sweating profusely and you're losing all these electrolytes, you're losing your blood sugar and your glycogen. You need to restore all that. So that is really what recovery is all about. You're recovering everything that you have lost. Yep. And through hard exercise and physical duration workouts or just work, you are going to lose all of these, essential elements of you being able to function.
Right.
Then that you have to recover those. So and you do that through nutrition. There's no other way.
And here's something I think that's often left unsaid is that there's a practice going on here. If my body subconsciously knows that when I train, when I'm done training, I'm going to give it exactly what it needs up until the point I need to eat a meal. Yeah. So it's like we've noticed that, right? For those of you that have got acclimated to work. Hey, I've got my powder, my creatine in my bottle. Add the water, drink it, drive home. By the time you get home, you just like eating your fingernails. You're so hungry. You've acclimated to this. It's like if you go without meals, or it's like, so that right there is you've trained yourself to go, man, this guy beats me up. He takes care of me. And we don't we get super hungry, right? You feel lethargic. Yeah. You start seeing stars.
Yeah. There you go.
And you're like 30, 40 minutes, man, I'm so hungry. This is not coincidence, folks. The body's going, hey, it's time to repair. And if not, what's going to happen is catabolism.
Yeah,
right? Yeah. That is when your body goes, all right, dude, if you ain't going to give me the food, I'm going to eat your muscle. Why?
Yeah.
Why does it eat muscle? Because the amino acids that make up your muscle and the protein are easier to break down than fat, or pull. It's easier, believe it or not, to actually break down your muscle than it is to start pulling nutrients from storage, your fat and liver.
Okay.
So that is why we don't skip meals. That is why people who don't eat look skinny fat. Is their body is it's basically in a storage phase. Like dude ain't giving me food. All he's doing is eating lettuce. Store like every bit of protein and sugar and carbohydrate you eat that will go to brain health function. The rest of it will get stored as fat.
Right. Yep. Yeah. It's like the camel mode, we call it.
Yeah.
You know, your body's just acting like a camel. Yeah. So
the worst thing you can do is for anything, whether it's weight loss, getting performance, whatever, the worst thing you can do is not eat. Unless, again, what about fasting? That is a purposeful thing. We're not talking about that.
Right. We're talking about recovery.
Talking about recovery. Yes.
Yeah. Talking about recovery. And then when you're fasting, you are
no Olympic athlete
recovering. It's tough.
No Olympic athlete, no bud student should be fasting and training. Or if they are, they certainly won't be successful.
Yes. Yes. You need all the fuel you can get. Well, how about this? Let's combine the two real quick. What should we be eating right before bed?
That's the question really then goes, okay, to
aid the sleep function of what.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
So for me, just the general, okay, we're going to bracket that person, right? The population we're talking to, physically active, they're following a training program, and they're not abusing themselves, right? Working really hard, but we're not overreaching too often. Okay. For me, I kind of look at it like, because I'm going to be in slumber for 6, 8, 10 hours, hopefully, give or take for all of us, like that window, like 6 to 10 for most of us. That's what we'd all like to fall into, hopefully, right? Well, or 7 to 10 or whatever. But the thing is like, we kind of look at it and go, that's when my body's healing itself primarily.
Yep.
Okay. That doesn't mean I want to have a belly full of food. No. It's like, okay. Cause I also, if my body is digesting very dense food in my stomach, what it's also not doing is you're basically diverting energy, subconsciously even, right? Hormones to digesting that food, right? A lot of people get GI distress, diarrhea, all that sort of stuff. They eat a lot before they go to bed. So for me, my suggestion is like, it's very similar to post-training. I will likely up my calories and fat a little bit. I'll add some peanut butter maybe to it to slow that digestion down. But again, I'm still looking at a protein. I'm looking at a water source. I'm going to add, like I said, a little bit of fat. And then from the nutrient standpoint, it's like, I want to make sure that it's a slow digesting, broad spectrum protein. Like Greek yogurt, plain Greek yogurt is probably my favorite just because it's so dense.
Yep. It's
so nutrient dense, and it doesn't give me GI distress at all. Unfortunately, some people are lactose intolerant. Then, that eliminates cottage cheese. I try to stay away from cottage cheese because most is too high in sodium for my liking.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid of sodium. I get heartburn really bad. There we go.
So casein.
Yeah. There are a number of good products out there. Like, Thorne's casein version is their Recovery Pro, right? And it's got the magnesium and GABA in it. And it's a milk. It's a whole milk base. That's why there you go. It's whole milk based, which makes it casein, essentially. It's slow digestion. So again, we're looking at it's similar to post-workout to me. I'm just going to up my calories a bit because I know I'm going to be fasting in my sleep for those 8 hours, which is also why I have another protein shake sitting in my bathroom, because I always wake up sometime around 3. I drink another one because I know during slumber is when I'm getting the primary recovery state. I want to make sure that my belly has some nutrients into it. So that way my stomach's not going, hey bro, we need food. Get up. I'm like, okay, now I got to go downstairs, get light in my eyes when I open my refrigerator. Yeah. I just cross it off that issue before I get there, and I just keep a second one. You know, I may sleep through the night. Well, then it just gets unopened, and then the first thing I do is put it in.
I love it. One of my little life hacks is this vanilla flavored casein protein mixed with non-fat Greek yogurt. And I just do one scoop in there, scoop it up really good. And it's not a huge bowl, just a medium-sized bowl. Eat that. And it now no longer tastes like non-fat Greek yogurt. It actually tastes like vanilla pudding.
Yeah.
Right. With a little bit of chalky in there, but yeah, it's not bad, but it's a really good thing for me to kind of fuel. And I'm not hungry at all the rest of the night. You know, and I don't do it right before bed. I'll probably do it maybe an hour and a half before bed or something.
If I've had an extremely high volume day, I have unbleached, untainted, untouched whole oats. And I'll take a half a cup and I'll blend it to a pulp, a powder.
Mm-hmm.
And then I put that in there as well. And I'll drink. It's just because of fiber. Because if I'm going to drive my fiber up over my slumber, it's going to really slow down that digestion. And I'm going to be able to pull even more nutrients from that case. So so instead of like whole oats, I'll add to it blended. I add fruit. I eat a lot of berries. Like, oh, the sugar. I am not at all concerned with the sugar because of the accompanied fiber in that natural food.
Yep.
I'm not saying I'm sitting down like literally last night before I went to bed with my protein. I ate I cut up a pineapple, half of it, ate half of it with my protein, stuck the other half in the fridge, and my son and I ate it for breakfast this morning, the other half of pineapple. So it's like I want high fiber, but also the enzymes specifically in mango, papaya, and pineapple are exceptionally good for digestion and gut health. That's why I choose those three passion fruits.
Very smart. Very smart. Okay. So now let's do this. We kind of mentioned a little bit about like your high volume stuff. So when you say high volume, whether that's calisthenics or high reps of, you know, weighted, lighter weighted, what's the difference between what's going on in the body and how you need to recover from when you go like a heavyweight day or a high repetition day?
Yeah. So I look at like, I'm going to kind of separate it in like layman's terms a little bit.
Sure. Absolutely.
Like we talked about, right? It's like, okay, the bodybuilder type exercise, the hypertrophy, you can get, remember, think like sometimes you get that big pump. Yeah. Sometimes it just feels heavy. Mm-hmm. Okay, by design, like the difference between hypertrophy and strength. Mm-hmm. So the big thing is neuromuscular difference. Like, okay, I want to focus one a little bit more on brain, and one I might want to focus a little bit more on body, because one is going to be more intense for the nervous system.
Right.
Right. They're both pretty intense on the physical.
Right.
But one, right. So one, like if I'm working hypertrophy, I'm gonna up my calories a little bit more, right? Because again, it's like those contractions are slower. Those contractions are quick, they're slow and long. So I kind of think, well, I kind of want food in there that's going to be in there for a long time, because this healing process is going to take some time, right?
Right.
Not that healing when you're lifting heavy weights isn't long as well, but for me, I'll focus a little bit more on the neurotransmitter side.
Right.
And I'm going to actually focus on what I'm going to do is, you know, I'm good after a hypertrophy workout to drink my protein and my fat and kind of spend an hour doing nothing. Just kind of getting hungry, you know, prepping food. But if I'm lifting heavy, I'm going to get to my meal quicker. That's what I do. Is like, okay, because I need to get my brain in there. I need to get my neurotransmitters. I'm going to take my GABA, right? For me, I look at it stress. My physical body tends to handle physical stress better than any of us that are mental stress. So it's like, think about it, man. It's like if someone says, man, I don't feel like lifting today. This percentage is so high. And they go, don't worry about it. Lift lightweight. You go, oh, what a relief.
Right.
How I am. I go, okay. If you're going, man, I just lifted heavy today, I feel wonky, get the food in you, get the neurotransmitters in you, get the fluid in you. Because there I'm looking at like more hydration, because I need to get the nutrients into my body quicker, real fast in my brain. So I'm going to up my water. I'm going to increase my caloric intake on my meals in my rest period, you know, like those. I'm not going to let those like metabolic windows close out if I'm lifting heavy.
Yeah.
Because then it's going to spill into sleep chronically. Like people that are working hypertrophy programs tend to not have problem with sleep because they're so physically tired.
Right.
When people are lifting heavyweight or are really competing on the Olympic level, their brain is just static. And their body's like, man, I'm stiff and sore, but just my brain is cloudy. There's a difference. And so it's hard to explain. I'm just going to spend less time waiting to eat if I'm lifting heavy.
Right.
I want to get in there and eat.
Yeah.
Get in there and eat.
Yeah.
You know,
because that will help you in turn later on get the sleep that is really required for that type of training program. So
then like the question is like, well, buds for an example, it's kind of both extremes. Yeah. Right. It really is, at least for the first, you know, those selection programs that there's like that culmination, whether it be Hell Week or whatever it is, the long walk, whatever it may be. It's like, and then you kind of mentality kind of shifts a bit. But when stress is really, really, really high, right? Again, the common thread is this: don't skip meals, right? Don't skip the nutrients that we are like, okay, don't skip water, don't skip protein, don't skip fat, don't skip carbohydrates. Right. Don't deplete. You shouldn't be in a ketogenic diet when you are competing at that high level, right?
Yeah.
Those carbohydrates. We need the starches. If you don't have a problem with pasta, eat your body weight in pasta at Buds. I don't care if it's flour. I don't care if it's bread. Just eat.
Yes. You
need it for that. Like if you're doing an ultra marathon, go. If you're at a fire station and you're like, this is what they're making me, and it's a busy eat.
Yeah.
Deal with it afterwards. You know what I mean? And that's the curveball, because especially like in a fire station, at least the fire stations that I'm aware of and the people that I know, it's like those community meals. You got what you got, man.
Yeah, that's true.
And it typically the food isn't bad. It's just, it's focused on tasting good, and it should. I'm not saying it should.
You should enjoy. You absolutely should enjoy your meals, but at the same time, at the end, it should help you recover to a point where you can do that exact same job that you did today, tomorrow, because that's what those things are going to be for. All right. So how about this? Let's take you. So we talked about sleep and nutrition. Probably if you put the two together, you're looking at 90% of what recovery is. Yeah. Right. No, without a doubt. Right. Sure. Now we got that missing 10%, and that missing 10% is usually what makes people go from good to great, if you want to think about it that way. So what would you say in this missing 10% would be your go-to recovery exercise or device or gear? And I'll talk about mine, the one I like, and let's, just see what's going on there, inside, why you choose this and what's happening inside your body. Yeah. For me, I mean, it's kind of one of two things. They've kind of become one. I'm a big proponent in taking like my stretching that I do, and I just kind of turn that into meditation. Like for me, I put a lot of focus in my mind in my prep. Like it's the same way I did in the community. It's like I didn't go out the door without triple and double checking everything that was where it was supposed to be. Batteries were good. Everything was functioning. If you talk to a race car driver and go, where are your switches, where are your gauges, they know. Like you talk to a football player, you talk to someone that's an avid hunter, and you go, where do you keep your gear? At no point are they guessing. And so for me, to my point is like, they're not really making sense. No, I see exactly where you're going. My prep time before I train looks very similar to my prep time when I'm down regulating too. I want to make sure I'm going in, moving and functioning well. And when I come out, essentially before I go to bed, I go through a lot of stretching protocols because I want to, because I know why.
Hey, I'm about to go to bed. That's when I receive most of my healing. I want to go into that state in a good, mobile, loose, very cathartic, down-regulated state. So when I do sleep, the body goes, oh, this guy's got it. I wake up healed. I wake up rested. I'm less stiff. You have to understand that sleep is a physical state. Even though that we think that we're just, no, it's the most active state of our brain.
Yeah.
Prep it. Just like you guys, again, people don't skimp on prepping for the gym, or whether it be pre-workout, stretching, following protocols, whatever it may be.
Gym bags and gear.
The whole process. Like, you forget your headphones, you feel like the sky's falling. Guilty. I mean, that's why, like, one of the things I'm thankful about having lived in a public gym, because I don't ever forget my headphones anymore.
Yeah.
But so think about that for sleep. It's like, oh, sleep is an extraordinarily conscious state, right? It's extraordinary. It's the most conscious, extraordinary, active state of our time in our brain. Go into that to the best of our ability, ready to receive healing. Nutrients, state of mind, physical position. That's for me the most important, because that sets me up. And it also gives me points of evaluation. Man, I ain't feeling right. Okay, overdid it. Tomorrow's an off day. Or it's it's always like, I should be able to do this and breathe this way and feel this way. And if I can't, then something, I got to look back and go, I rushed that.
Yep.
I'm getting sick. I've been training too hard, too often, whatever it may be.
That's really good, because what you have done is you are taking maybe a few of the, that missing 10% and adding it into a bedtime ritual.
Yes.
That will help you sleep better.
Because what my body is seeing is like, oh, he's doing this again. This is familiar. Last time he did this, we slept awesome. It's the same reason why so many athletes are superstitious. I wear the same socks. I do this. I hit the sign all the time, because it's like, you get this routine that has yielded success, whether it's wins, feel good, whatever it may be, performance. So we're going to repeat that thinking, well, that worked. That worked. But for me, it's not just the physical. That physical piece is pre-workout. That's my movement time. When I'm down regulating to receive healing, that's before bed. So they're kind of the same, because I want to do my movement stuff to where it's like, man, this bar don't feel right. Okay, I need to shift. Today's not the day.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, I would say mine would be, and I typically do it, that 2 hour prior to bedtime, is any aches or pains that I'm having, I stretch them and I foam roll them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or I get the lacrosse ball or tennis ball out and just do it. And I usually do it while I'm watching TV, so I'm not in any particular highly focused state or anything. I'm just doing what I do, trying to feel the aches and pains and go through it. And so I'd say that would be my next go-to thing that I do. So, if you're not familiar with, what's happening in your body when you stretch and when you use a foam roller, is that you are actually helping the body to loosen, some of the fibers that can really not even contract. I mean, the muscles will contract, so that helps to loosen some of those. But, they call it myofascial release is, what the foam roller is for. And, there's a lot of studies out there on it, and they're trying to prove that it helps with performance. And, so there's some debate out there whether or not what's really happening is scientifically proven to make you, faster or more flexible, but they are finding definitely that you feel better afterwards.
And that's the thing too, is because I'm a proponent of looking at research, but the thing too is there's so much variety in humans. There's so much variety into what stimulus, like what training protocols a person can do. And then you put them all on the same foam roller. It's like everyone's getting vastly different results, all depending on their experience level, their state of training. So there is real conclusive value that it works, but a foam roller, like many other things, needs to be something that a person has to explore, right? Yes. Stu is using it. He knows he has expectation of a certain result based off certain stretches, because he has either gotten a benefit from it before, or It hasn't. And so that's why Stu and I said right before I got on camera was like, it's worth experimenting. And if it takes more than 1 or 2 times, and that's the difficulty. People are like, oh, it hurts. I'm not getting a benefit. You've got to give it some time. If you give it time, these things will absolutely work 100% of the time.
Yeah, absolutely. So Jeff, let's close it there. I think we've hit almost 98% of all recovery items that you can do in a day. So real quick, for those of you who are unaware, Jeff and I both have, websites. I have a Stu Smith Fitness website. Jeff has performancefirst.us.com website, and they're both focused on training, right? And we also, we sell programs. We also have a membership site. Now, these are separate membership sites. Just to join one, you don't get both, though. You never know. We may figure out some way to join together.
I wouldn't count that out.
And
I really wouldn't
do that, because we are definitely much better together than we are competitors. And so we have figured that out for sure. So, I may do things a little bit differently than Jeff, and Jeff may do some things and focus on different things that I don't. So, it's a big world out there. It's a big world out there and plenty of room for all of us to play. But definitely check out performancefirst.us.com, StuSmithFitness.com, whether you want books or whether you want downloadable programs or, the actual membership site, which will, for Jeff's, it's going to be kind of you get all this content.
Yeah.
Right. And
I'm basically essentially combining all of my social media stuff on my website. So I don't have to depend on a YouTube or any other social media platform.
Right.
It's going to take some time. It's worth it. And in the process, what Stu's doing, like, it's cool because we really genuinely are like full disclosure showing each other, like, what are we doing? Just because it's like, we don't know. This is the first we've done this, you know, and it's, and at the end of the day, the positive feedback that he and I are getting collectively, it's not a coincidence. It's certainly because he and I are good friends and I love watching Stu be successful.
Same.
Why wouldn't I stop? Yeah. Or why would I stop supporting them?
Because, our mission is the same. We are just trying to help people help themselves to be better and maybe achieve some goals that, especially in service of the country, it's very rewarding to see people want to do that and to succeed along those lines of whatever they want to do, military, law enforcement, firefighter, medical professional, whatever. We appreciate the opportunity that you guys trust in us to listen to us as well as, read what we provide.
For sure. So like in the next 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months, there's one guarantee that the information that Stu and I are putting out to you all will just continue to get better.
There you go.
That's it.
Yep. I love it. All right, Jeff. Till next time.
Till
next time, sir. We'll see you later.